Всем привет! Сейчас перед вами появится запись видео с турнира от Trovo, в котором участвовали я и Вермех. Поэтому присаживайтесь поудобнее, ставьте лайки, берите чаечек, там покушать что-нибудь и приятного просмотра.
We are here for the Trovo Creator Showdown. This is the first arena breakout Trovo Creator Showdown. And today we are going to be jumping in with 12 different teams. Each of these teams is a duo. And to explain the format really quickly before we get in here, these teams are already into their 2.5 hour time window. They have 2.5 hours, and all 12 teams are going for maximum loot extraction value, right? And so the only way they get credit for that loot value on the extract is if they successfully extract. So there are going to be a ton of different available tactics at play. We're going to get into the games here in about 30 to 60 seconds. But before we do, notice what maps these players are going to be playing on. We're going to see a variety of maps, a variety of tactics in play. We might see some people start on farm, some of potentially the less experienced creators, I don't know, but we've got some absolute demons in this group. And so expect to see some of these duos just run armory over and over and over again. So that's what we're here to look at today. We're going to be jumping in with the first group, and our first group, as we see it here, is going to be Inera. She is currently on the map looting with her duo, and as you see this, there's going to be a loot value preview in these players' games. They're going to be able to pull up the item, check the loot value, and inspect and see that loot value. So that's what they're going to be looking for here. And as you see her team going through here, they're looting every opportunity. So we're going to cycle through a couple of these teams pretty quickly here early on in the cast, and then we will follow up with teams as they're in gunfights, as they finish up their games, successfully extract or not. As we see Inera move through the building here, she is not on armory, and that's what we expect is a variety of these early maps. Jumping in with Sade in a gunfight in armory. Let's check in and see if we can catch some of this audio here. Now, all of the AI and the guards in armory on this map are extremely, extremely effective. And so you're going to see much more careful, slow movement from Sade and his teammate Trashy here as they move through armory. You see all of those footsteps indicators. He tries to get that jump peek in this situation because, you know, these guards in armory, there's zero delay when they start firing, and it is a dangerous place to be. You see all of these footsteps. Now, and to some of the players here or viewers that are new to Arena Breakout, let's give a little bit of background here and explain what's going on as we go through some of these channels at the beginning. Now, Sade is an experienced player here. He's in Armory, which is one of the most dense maps and one of the most dangerous maps. Expect lots of geared up other teams here and the AI guards on a map. Arena Breakout is an extraction shooter. You've seen a huge launch this month from this game, and this is an extraction shooter where if you die on the map, you lose all of your armor, all of your gear, all of your weapons and ammo. On the reverse side of things, for all of the other players that you kill on a map here, you're able to loot and steal all of their gear, armor, ammo, weapons, everything. And so, similar to Escape from Tarkov, this game, Arena Breakout, is the first of its type in extraction shooters for mobile. And so you're seeing Sade and his teammate here as a duo on the most challenging map with the most geared and skilled players. And they're just trying to get their entry into bunker here as you see them move carefully, but struggle a little bit as they get their entry here. Now, Armory is the map that is known to have the highest potential loot value, but also the highest risk. So expect to see some of the best players in this game regularly just running Armory over and over and over again so they can get a feel for the map, really get the experience there, because this is the map with the most loot. So we're going to check in with a couple of other players here. We have Zykes, who's out on the map. This looks like either Valley or Northridge. We'll see as he makes his way further through this map. There's not as much loot density on these larger maps, Valley, Northridge, even Farm to some extent. And when I talk about the loot and the density of the loot, the value of the loot on those maps, what I'm really talking about is how far you have to run, how long you can expect to have to move as a team, as a solo across the map before you can get to the next higher loot value items, or before you can expect to run into another team and potentially get into a gunfight. In Arena Breakout, on maps like Armory, the frequency that you have to stop, take cover, and move very, very carefully and slowly is much more often, because there's much more density of other teams and lots of loot everywhere. Whereas on maps like Northridge and maps like Valley that have these wide open spaces like this, you can move a little bit farther without expecting to run into another team, but you also have to move a lot farther in order to get to the loot. So there's a little bit more safety, especially as you see as a solo here from Zykes. There's a little bit more safety in running those maps, in that you have the opportunity to potentially, you know, make longer movements, not run into as many teams. But as we see, that time is also a factor. Being on the extraction with enough time to get off, we see an extraction failed there from Zykes. And so with an extraction failed, that every single time is going to be a 0 loot value for that player. Now, that might have been Zykes' teammate extracting after he died, but for every player that dies in this game, they're unable to then extract and get that loot value. So we're going to go back to Sade here in Armory, and we'll continue to rotate through some of the rest of these players. The way we're able to view and switch between these players' games is through their live stream. So we may see some lag, a little bit of delay as we go, but we'll work with that. See if we can catch Sade and some of these other players in some high intensity gunfights as they try and get to the high value loot.
On my mark.
These guys look pretty well looted up. They're near one of the extraction points in Armory. It still looks like they have to activate that extraction point still. And Armory is unique among all of the 4 available maps in Arena Breakout right now, because the extraction points require activation and then movement to a different location in order to extract. So it's a much more complex process to get off this map, as you see them dealing with more footsteps close to their location, some gas grenades.
One is in the box, one is in the box.
And potentially some enemy players. Yep, he's got enemy players crouched in the distance there, trying to thread the needle with that shot. Single shot headshot from Sade, threads the needle through the stairwell.
Real quick, you know? Let's kill this one real quick.
To kill that other player. The teammate running in as they cross around this corner here. You have to check every angle on Armory to make sure you stay safe.
One is in the window. He's going for the window, I guess.
They try and continually clear through these hallways on Armory and max out their loot value here.
I need to reload, you know, before getting into action. Yeah, just sitting there, you know.
Checking in with El Pecco. He's queuing up for a game. We've got a couple more players that we're waiting on to go live, as we see Little B
Box is safe.
and several others here that we've got to check in with. But right now we have Sade in Armory in the action, and so we're going to stay with him until we see some other players get into some gunfights here. And you see how slow your pace of movement has to be through Armory in order to be successful in this game, because there's high risk around every corner. And if you're patient enough, if your pace of movement is deliberate enough, then you'll have opportunities and you won't get caught out in the open. But to rush forward and push too quickly, a little bit too recklessly, unless you have the coordination, you put your entire set of gear, all of your loadout at risk. So you see these guys get multiple different angles. Sade swings to the right and then comes back around. They throw grenades, they're checking their angles, and they're pushing these teams back, making sure they clear through. They've got a dead enemy team right there. Opportunities to loot. You see that level 30 dog tag. When you see these players go into their loot screen, that dog tag indicates that was not a guard, not AI. That was actually a real player that they just encountered and eliminated. And so that dog tag comes with additional loot value as well as certain mission values as well. But this game is unique in that they make it very, very clear when you've killed another player, whether that was another player, another covert ops player, a attack ops player, or one of the AI guards. And so you know who's on the map, where you've encountered what, and the information that the loot screen provides you is pretty significant. So we see Sade here looting up that higher value ammo. The purple and gold shaded ammo is high value, high dollar amount, and you can stack up to 60 of those rounds in each of the storage spots. And so this is going to be one of the primary tactics for maximizing loot value. As we see in this format for Arena Breakout is basically a loot race. It's a 2.5-hour loot race, and the only way to qualify that loot is to successfully extract with it. And so if you're able to move through Armory and successfully eliminate teams and max out your storage with high-value items, as you see this team here doing, that is likely going to be one of the most successful tactics. All right, we're going to take a look and see if we've got some other people live. Oh, Sade with the close range, immediate headshot. When you hear those voice lines, that's another indicator of being able to tell that those are some of the guards in Armory. Probably not going to put up quite as significant a fight as if he'd run into another team there.
I don't actually.
We've got some buffering issues on some other streams here, but we have Lil Peru here out on the map. This looks like he is on farm. We're going to see if we can get this stream caught up so we can check in on the action. Zykes is prepping for his next mission in the load screen. That's another factor here with all of these players. As we check in with ChestGamers, out on what looks to be Northridge, moving across this open area, trying to get to the next loot area. We'll turn on some volume here and see some of this in-game audio. As they move across these areas, this is going to be a tactic. I don't think it will work as well as the Armory choices. And in some cases, we may have some players that aren't fully leveled up because those maps are limited as you go, in that you have to get up to some of the higher levels in order to access some of those later maps. Armory being most likely the highest loot value or loot opportunity of any of these maps is the last one to unlock. We see ChessGamers and his teammate moving on the outside perimeter of the map. This is likely one of the safest ways to approach an extraction point, but obviously offers limited opportunity to run into other teams, limited opportunity to find loot areas. So it looks like he may be finishing up his game here with 18 minutes left, about halfway through his timer. And moving very, very carefully, very deliberately towards an extraction point. We're going to be moving around and checking in with a couple of the other players here early in the stream to see who is ready to go, who is online and streaming, and who is getting into some of these gunfights. Sade's still in Armory, sorting through his loot here, picking up high value items, high loot value items. And Zykes still prepping for his next mission. Now you see, as some of these players in their screen here prep for their next mission and organize their loadouts, this process, in order to maximize your output within this rule set, you have to be able to get back into the game as quickly as possible. These players have unlimited attempts, unlimited opportunities to run these maps, and so the ability to turn it around quickly, get back into the game, and give yourself more opportunities for loot, more opportunities for an extraction is absolutely going to be key to this format. So we're going to watch Sade and his teammate. They're the ones most actively in gunfights right now as they try and make their way through Armory here. They got into Armory really early, so you see they still have 21 minutes left before they have to do anything about this. And really, what you're going to see is they're going to take every opportunity to fill every slot in their backpack with high loot items. They're up in the upstairs where the extraction point activation is. So we may see Sade moving towards the extraction. Beautiful shot through the window for the headshot. You see him pause in front of the door. He saw the footsteps, backed off, picked the right angle, and didn't expose himself to get shot.
You can't kill the disguise, so... And I can...
He's got some gold items there, some gear, some high loot value. Just checking inside, looking for more potential loot value. He's got the card, and he's going to look through the window to check and see if the card is worth using here first. Those optics are all high value loot items. So again, you see this key card access right now. It takes quite a bit of prep and planning to make sure that you have the right keys, the right key cards in order to get into some of these high loot rooms on these maps. We see Sade finishing out his looting process here in Armory, and we're going to watch through on this one to see him navigate the process of this extraction and see if he can hold down the extraction, manage to not get extraction camp, and check and see if we can get a loot value on an extraction here early in our window.
Give me a sec, Hershey.
All right, Sade has to move over here to activate the extraction. And then he's got to move down to that extraction point to be able to successfully extract from Armory. We see El Pecco queuing into a game here. And we're going to be checking in with a couple of other creators as they move through this. Zyke's now still not into his next game. Trying to work through our connection issue here to make sure we bring you back to Sade's stream here, see if we can watch his Armory extraction. All right, we're going to check in with Lil Peru. We've got some of the connection issue worked out here. He's back into a game. See if we can get some in-game audio with him and watch him navigate this this area on Armory here.
Acá enfrente, 5 por 5 ahí abajo nomás tiene que ver.
Now, something about Arena Breakout that's going to be constant information for the players as they move through these games is throughout the entire game, they're going to be hearing gunfights all around them that are going on, and they get constant information that's really, really detailed on the directional sound info. As you see, Lil Peru, he sees that sound info, he sees that input on his screen, and he's able to look in that direction. Very, very similar, you know, to in a real world situation when you hear that sound. It's very, very directional and feels extremely realistic. And so he's able to hear the gunfights going on around him and kind of pick those angles and be pretty accurate. But he's got himself up in this defensive position. Here on this map, basically anywhere you look, there's high value loot items. And so they're going to be moving through here very deliberately and looting every chance that they get. You see the slow, careful check around the corner. You'll see that a lot more often on Armory as a map than on some of these others, Farm, Valley, or Northridge. On some of those other maps, you see players get a lot more aggressive as they move through and clear these buildings and hallways. But on Armory, there's just a different caliber of guard and a different level of risk there. Now we see Sade finishing out his extraction here on Armory. We're going to check in and see what his loot value is. That extraction countdown complete, a successful extraction, so this loot value will qualify for Sade. I expect a pretty big number here. You're going to see quite a few loot values on extraction in the 100K range, into 300K range, but Sade by himself with 471,000 in loot value, you can expect a similar amount on his teammate. That is the standard right now when it comes to loot value. Trashy with over 1.1 million in loot value in a previous game there. So you see these loot values here from Sade and Trashy, and that is the standard. Those are some of the highest numbers we will see today, and that puts them in extremely, just absolutely fantastic shape when it comes to being competitive on this loot value. Let's check in with another couple of streamers here and see. Inera is in the prone.
That's good.
In the prone, managing some gunfights, managing some information. You see footsteps as white indicators up near the compass, and then you'll see gunshots as red sound indicators. And so there is the ability to use only visual sound basically in this game, but the surround sound and the directional sound in this game is excellent. And so you'll see players reacting to sound cues often as they move across the map.
We died first.
An area here on Northridge. As you can see, the map is wide open, engaging those guards at a distance, but you see the difference in reactivity from some of those guards when compared to the games we've seen on Armory so far. It's a different level of threat for them on some of these other maps, which may be part of the decision that they take into account when they're choosing their tactic for what map they want to play. Sade is going to be prepping for his next mission here. We're going to try and jump in with Little Peru, see if he's moved his way out. Little Peru still in this basement mine shaft area. Moving through slowly here. And you'll see quite a few players here crouch walk or use, there's actually a button on the screen here in Arena Breakout. Whoa, taking shots immediately from the top of the stairs.
What?
You see the health indicator there, entire body red, both arms blacked out. He's going to have to go through some pretty extensive medical treatment here in a second. Grenade went up the stairs, but you got to be careful. Those grenades can bounce right back down those stairs on you, and there is absolutely friendly fire with grenades in this game. They've got, oh, it looks like they downed someone up top, and they've got footsteps above them. You see that visual indicator for footsteps, and they can hear those footsteps as well, trying to get those grenades all the way to the top of the stairwell. See them using those MK2 grenades, primarily for use against players with high armor level. Lil Peru opting for painkillers right now in lieu of actually treating his injuries as he's in the gunfight. He's going to hit that med kit because you see the dark red, that's going to get worse with those limb injuries. The dark red is going to get worse as he goes unless he treats it. And so he's going to treat all of his injuries. His arms are still broken. He's going to have to use the surgical kit to take care of that as his teammate tries to hold off the pressure from this team at the top of the stairs.
Está muerto el de arriba, eh. Estamos dentro del muro. Es bueno, por un lado.
Now, the health system in this game is more complex than what you're used to unless you're a consistent Tarkov or other extraction shooter type player, because this game requires, once you've had a limb broken significantly enough,
Hasta el último, pero acá había tres cuerpos antes.
you're going to have to treat that with a surgical kit. You'll see them use health kits, bandages to deal with broken limbs. So the complexity of the health system in this game is something that these players will have to pay attention to the entire time. You see now he's completely healthy, having to go through multiple surgical kits, multiple health kits, and take a while at the bottom of the stairs. But with all, look at that, 4 bodies at the top of the stairs there. That is how effective these grenades are in this game. Opportunities for loot here. Most of those are AI and guards, but at least he's got an opportunity, especially on Armory. These guards have higher value ammo, and there's opportunity for value there. So he's going to go through and loot here and continue moving on. Check back in with Sade, loading back into another Armory game. This is what I expect to see as a tactic consistently from those guys, is consistent, just right back into Armory immediately, run straight to bunker, The advantage of being into the bunker first when you see them run in on armory is that they get an opportunity to deal with guards without having to deal with any but the absolute earliest teams. And so they're going to be sprinting towards bunker, trying to deal with these guards on the outside very quickly, very effectively.
Guys, when I connect my phone to PC,
open up the gate there with the switch, and then hold down this position in the corner. You see this broken wall gives good fields of fire, but also provides plenty of cover. And there are just not that many places on armory that give you an opportunity for cover in 4 directions and to choose your angles. And so you'll see a lot of players as they enter the bunker here on armory as a map, they'll constantly pick up this position. You see them look in both directions, covering 2 separate crossing angles through that broken wall. And then both of them are backed up so that no one can walk right up behind them and try and surprise them. And you're going to see some smoke grenades, some gas grenades. Hold off the pressure. They're going to get inside of the bunker here. And then from there, immediately start to get up a much more secured position, a secured perimeter, using cover as much as you can, but they're basically just taking the damage they need to take and using painkillers to hold it off until they have an opportunity to get in that door. Really, really cutting it close here as you see all of these guards aggressively push their position. Doors finally open. They're gonna have to deal with guards immediately on the inside, taking tons of damage, but once they get a foothold here, oh, that door's closed. He's got to get through and shut it immediately. Once they get a foothold here, they're going to have an opportunity to heal up and initially some opportunities to loot as well. That was a wild, wild breach of the bunker from Sade and Trashy. And they're going to use up some medical kits early in this one. El Pecco here loading into a game, checking in with a couple of other players. We've got Sade in his foothold in armory. And Lil Peru continuing to move through as well. And loot. Most of the action that we're seeing from teams out there right now is from Sade and Lil Peru. So we're going to stick with them, stick with the teams that are in games right now versus pulling everything out of their backpack and buying stuff from the market to prep for their next mission. And as we see more teams pop into games, we'll be jumping back and forth.
Que no hay mucho que hacer,
Another factor in Arena Breakout that you'll see constantly, and that's why we're pulling some of the audio from these guys, is because the in-game communication required is probably some of the most, it's probably some of the highest requirements for in-game communication of any game that you'll see, because there are so many different dynamics going on. And when you have to pull back and reload, or when you have to pull back and heal, you have to have cover from your teammates. If you're low on health, you have to make it all the way through those surgical kits, all the way through those med kits without getting shot, without getting hit by grenade shrapnel in order to be able to stay in the game. So these guys are moving really, really carefully, really, really deliberately in order to be safe. They see those footsteps. You see the guy pop around the corner. Hip fire headshot.
Y tenemos que irnos porque nos van a cerrar, si no creo que la única salida que hay es por armería y estamos FU. Por los élites.
That's what you see. This AI guard he was just able to kill on armory, but the value of the loot on these guys is going to be much higher than some of the other maps. Another reason why armory, even if you don't take the most aggressive approach and go for every single gunfight, armory probably one of the best tactics that we'll see here, just because of all of the loot opportunities, from you know, the equipment that the guards have to what you find just laying around on tables, as well as what you expect other teams to be wearing, what kind of guns, what level of ammo these other teams will have coming into armory. The expectation is higher value in all of those categories. And then you see teams that get out on Northridge, get out on Valley, and those are bigger maps, but that doesn't necessarily mean more loot opportunity. It means a much longer run in between the gunfight every time. So these guys are moving out. Looks like they're moving towards an extraction point. We'll check back in with Sade as he has his foothold here in the bunker. You see them peeking corners, moving very carefully, very slowly through bunker. We're going to listen to some of these sound cues and how they deal with that. You see the player strafe across the doorway there. He's going to use this opportunity to push.
He took one bullet though. He's low right now.
He knows he got some hits in, knows the guy's likely going to pause to heal, or at least be moving a little bit slower. Immediately hop check the corner. This is an aggressive move to try and catch this guy. You can tell Sade really thinks this guy's pulled all the way back in an attempt to heal. But he's taking shots through the curtain there. He's in a little bit of trouble. His body moving to dark red right there. He's got a limited opportunity to kill this guy before he really has to use his medical kits and try and heal.
Rest in peace, my boy.
Got him with the grenade. A brilliant grenade throw. Gives him an opportunity to potentially loot this other player. Get the safe behind that door. You see they have every key for Armory right now. Picking the right keys, having access to all of those high value rooms is going to give them significant advantages in this loot race. This is the Trovo Creator Showdown. For those of you just joining the stream, welcome. I am Mod6, and we're basically moving through in kind of a watch party style through all of these different players. There are 12 teams right now cycling through games, and we're trying to stay with the teams that are constantly in a gunfight and constantly have the action. So we're going to try and follow the action as we go. And what we have today are 12 teams competing, and our top six is what we're looking to find here. What the rule set is they have any opportunity they want, any game format to run in Arena Breakout. It is maximum loot value in 2.5 hours of gameplay. Right now, we're about 55 minutes into that 2.5 hour window. We are playing Arena Breakout, and we are with Sade right now on the map Armory. Armory is the highest level map available in the global version of the game right now. Has the highest value loot in the highest density. You see them moving from safe to safe, looking for those high value items. Those purple shaded and gold shaded items are much higher value loot, and that is why they're using this tactic. Armory, however, has the highest level risk. The AI guards and the expected, skill level and gear level of the other teams on this map are significantly higher. So this is the high risk, high reward strategy. And so far we have seen one successful extraction from Armory from Sade's team. We expect there's a couple others out there, and we're going to be checking in a little bit after the 1 hour mark with the score. We've got our score being kept through screenshots the players are submitting, and the production team is managing that. So I'll be checking in for a score update here pretty soon, and we will update you across all teams where they are in the standings. And we're going to use some of those standings to see who we chase down next and which streams we look to follow and check in with these teams as they move through. Sade having some struggle on the stream there. We're going to check in here with Lil Peru. We see 86K loot value. So this is what I mentioned earlier. We're going to see some variety in the amount of loot value that these teams pull off the map. 86K from Lil Peru here. We're back with Sade in Armory as well. Now remember, on Sade's first extraction, we saw over 400,000 just on him. And so that's a difference you can expect to see in the kind of the average loot value between a successful Armory extraction and a successful extraction on farm or valley.
I know. I'm joking, man. I'm joking.
All right, we're hopping in here with ChessGamers. Now these gunfights out in the open give more opportunity for maneuver, in my opinion. I enjoy, when I'm playing Arena Breakout, I enjoy these kind of outdoor gunfights, if you will. Call something in a video game outdoors. But they have opportunities for a lot more opportunities with grenades, where they want to place their grenades and where they move. So what I don't like to see is a player get bogged down and slowed down in an outdoor gunfight like this. They've got a lot of angles to work with, and if you stay in one spot, your enemy's going to know where you are the entire time. There's not a flanking opportunity. You're going to lose the element of surprise. And ideally, you want to have teammates moving in a couple of different directions, one wrap left, one wrap right. That way, the team that you're fighting is getting multiple different footstep indicators from all directions. You maintain some element of surprise through that confusion. And so when in these outdoor gunfights, expect to see these guys, when they're more successful, they're going to do that by maneuvering, by flanking, by setting up a supporting fire position that suppresses an enemy, keeps them from maneuvering, right? These real world tactics are actually effective in this game. And so we see ChessGamers working his way through this fight, just basically listening for footsteps as he goes. But we're going to see if he's able to develop this gunfight. They're close to an extraction point, it looks like. And so it may just be that they're making a decision on whether they even want to take the fight at all. You see them backing off from the wall there. Very, very light on his loadout right now. And that may just be that he's used quite a bit of his supplies this late in the game, or that he came in light with as much space as possible in those bags for loot.
Ну, якобы у меня 2 руки и пах выбит. Не знаю, он походу, не знаю, чем он стреляет, он, блядь.
You see all of the different types of containers these players are opening as they move through the map. This is an extremely interactive map in Arena Breakout. You see all of the different, you know, as he shoots the toolbox, you see the bullets impact it. After a bullet impact, the item still is interactive. And so as you move through these buildings, if you're getting into the game, it's very recent since global launch. Arena Breakout launching on July 14th, so we're at the 2-week mark since global launch, and our first creator showdown that has featured this game in its you know, fully launched form here. And when you get into this game, interact with everything on these maps, because you see these players move through the buildings. There's toolboxes. You can pick the pockets of coats hanging on the wall, and in many cases, those kind of less intuitive, maybe harder to find looting opportunities are where you're going to find some of the higher value loot items like keys. You see them back on this wall, still looking at these footsteps, yet to develop that gunfight. Checking back in with Sade here as he continuously, every time we check in with Sade, we see him looting something that has a gold background. His problem here is going to be figuring out how to fit this 6 square item that he knows is high value. Well, that was easier than we expected. He fits it in, hits the extraction lever, and then immediately heads to the extraction. Sade able to effectively just chain together armory runs right now. Access every high loot building. You see him using his optic there to zoom in on that dead player's gun just to get an idea of whether or not it was a high value item or not, instead of running all the way over there and looting to check. Little time min max effort right there. Looking to thread the needle here, limit his risk of exposure to gunfire as he moves towards the extraction. Now, when you do something like activate the extraction point here on the map, that will also activate quite a few of these guards. They know what's going on. Everyone on the map or everyone in range knows that you've activated that extraction point. And so once you do that, you can expect these guards to start moving towards your position, and they will actually maneuver on your position to try and prevent you from extracting. So another factor here with Armory that is unique to Armory is that the extraction point is a much longer wait after activated than on these other maps. So you'll see some players on Farm Valley, potentially Northridge, depending on the extraction points they take, only waiting 10 seconds for a successful extraction. The countdown timer starts as soon as they walk into range. But in this case, Armory requires a switch upstairs in bunker to activate this extraction point, and then running down here and holding the extraction point. You see he's dropped his backpack there. He's leaving his backpack there to go fight and potentially give themselves some space with these guards maneuvering on their position. 79 seconds until they're able to extract. Now, a caveat to that is they need to be in the extraction zone for 20 seconds in order to get that successful extraction. So he's moving quite a far ways away from the extraction point here. With only about a minute left, they need to get back, get on that red smoke, and sit on that red smoke for a full 20 seconds. And obviously, their backpacks, extra guns, things are right there. They took those off so they could sprint around and move faster, more effective maneuver near the extraction point for their defense. And we're going to see potentially another successful extraction from Sade on Armory, and what looks to be another high loot value run.
Yeah, he died so fast, dude. He went inside at 90 seconds ago. Just imagine. You need more than balls for that, you know.
Waiting here for the last few seconds as Sade And Trashy successfully extract again from Armory. We'll see a loot value here in just a moment. I'm expecting over 300k, potentially even higher than that.
400k.
There we go. 396,000 in loot value.
At least 600 or 700k.
396,000. We're going to check his partner's loot value as well. These are high loot values coming off of Armory. Looking to see if we have an opportunity to check in on some of these other players in this event. Here with El Peco, observing his teammate, which means it looks like he's gone down already. Observing his teammate potentially looting his body. So this is a key dynamic in Arena Breakout is if you die and your teammate is still alive, your teammate is able to loot your body and all of the items you brought onto the map. If your teammate extracts with your items, the game will automatically move them from your teammate's inventory and back into your mail. And so your teammate can save you from losing all of your kit in the event you die, right? And so having those teammates that understand that know how to stack the gear, use the space to the max, are able to, even if you have a teammate go down, you can still have a successful mission, getting plenty of loot off the map and returning all of your teammates' items so they don't lose out there. That may be the situation that El Peco's in. We're going to be checking in with a couple of other streams here. ChessGamers continuing to move through these buildings. High loot value items there with the gold coin and a key. And that is why you check every drawer, every pocket, every table, everything when you move through these buildings. As we see him, these keys can sometimes be as high a value as multiple hundreds of thousands of coin. That's a 15,000 value key there. That's not too shabby. I'm sure he was hoping for one of those purple keys that has that 65 to 125k loot value though.
Да. Ты же тоже был.
Typically, in buildings like this, what you'll see the players do is, in many cases, they'll be looking for items on tables. They'll be looking for the hanging coats and jackets to be able to loot, because those items are where you're more likely to find cash, more likely to find keys, more likely to find those gold coins, silver bracelets, things that don't take up a lot of space in inventory and have high value. So at the absolute max of your ability to leverage this rule set, you'll see these guys going for the low space, high value items, maximizing the dollar amount or the coin amount per slot in their inventory. We see ChessGamers here. Believe he is on farm, moving through some of these fields here, and there's quite a bit of water in this area, but what that means is that there's wide open fields of fire, and this is a pretty aggressive route that he's taking, straight down the east-west road, crossing the road there with active gunfights going on around him. Can't tell quite yet if he's looking to get himself into that gunfight or looking to avoid it. A little bit over a third of the way through his timer on farm. And if they're moving from east to west here in this game, their high loot value opportunity is in motel and in stables. And they're not particularly close, but this may be a team here.
Это бот, он кого-то видит. Не подходи к нему, не подходи, пусть он.
We're going to look and see how he deals with this. But they see those initial footsteps. They hear those footsteps. That gives them some pause. Being very, very cautious here right now. There's those running footsteps. He's got cover. Looks like two sets of footsteps in front of him, waiting for those players to come out of those bushes. This is where patience is a virtue in this game. Now those footsteps, with the right headset on, you can hear and then see the visual indicator on the sound for those footsteps from quite a distance away. So he may be waiting for a little while before he sees these guys run through the bushes. Some gunshots. You see some movement there. His teammate with the angle. You see them split the angle there where they basically get that perfect ambush angle, that 90 degree, and he's taking shots from a distance, reacts quickly, and he goes down.
Живи, не вытренивайся. Ты сдох?
Unbelievable. It looked like that team that they were engaging with sent one of their players out as bait. And ChestGamers, unfortunately, moving very quickly up to loot and immediately taken down. His teammate now trying to deal with that team that killed him. He's going to have to deal with this threat before he's then able to potentially save some of ChestGamers' loot. Really aggressive movement you see here from Pioneeria, his teammate. And you see he's not injured yet, but he pops the painkiller because if you come around a corner and get an arm or a leg blacked out, all of a sudden you're moving a lot slower. However, if you already have painkillers in your system, you do not get that slowed movement effect even if you get injured afterwards. So you'll see guys, as soon as they expect to be getting into a gunfight in the very near future, they may pop painkillers in advance of that gunfight so they don't take a hit to their movement speed there. As we watch ChestGamers, welcome to the Trovo Creator Showdown. Here it is Friday, July 28th, and this is our first Trovo Creator Showdown after the global launch of Arena Breakout. For those of you that are new to this game, new to the stream today, Arena Breakout is an extraction shooter similar to the PC title, Escape from Tarkov. What that means, this looter shooter type of genre, this is first person only, mobile only. You will not see people on emulator. You will not see controllers, external devices. The developer of this game is true to the mobile first, mobile only concept of this game. And so these are not PC players. Everyone is on a mobile device. That's unique among extraction shooters. And then the dynamic of this game is that every piece of gear, every piece of ammo, every bullet, every mag, your weapon, when you go into the game on TAC Ops, you risk all of that gear and equipment. So if you die, you come back with just your clothes on, no gear, no gun, no helmet, and you have to fully reset. However, of all the players that you kill on this map, you're able to loot their bodies, take all of their gear back, potentially repair it, use it for yourself, sell it on the market, take advantage of that in-game economy. And so players that are more successful are able to build up higher level loot over time. We see Pioneeria there moving across towards a potential extraction point, but seeing what looks like a team of players on the second floor of that building, right at the top of the stairs. Gets a couple shots in that. Looks potentially like an AI guard. Could be a player. Looks like he got the kill, but he may have made it back through that door. Another fact here is that the kill confirmation in this game is much more difficult. That is definitely a player he's dealing with. Perfect use of cover there. Now that tactic of using the low ground where the player on the high ground does not have an angle, a steep enough angle to shoot you, that is called a defilade position, and that is exactly what we see Pioneeria using here to deal with this gunfight. Staying in the low ground, not giving the enemy on the high ground the opportunity to have that advantage of the angle. Heal up, painkillers, look to re-engage. He knows he did a lot more damage. Not sure if we were able to see him get that kill or not, but he knows he did a lot more damage to that player than that player did to him. And so he's got a little bit more freedom to maneuver. See him as dynamic a movement as possible, jumping, running zigzags while he's out in the open, and then always trying to get some cover, or at a minimum, some concealment in order to be able to navigate across this map with a little bit of safety.
Да это бот ёбаный нас спалил, я знал.
All right, we're going to jump back in with Sade, who's chaining together armory runs right now.
I have like 3 broken limbs.
And you notice the difference in choices for different medical kits for some of these competitors here. Sade, an example, using all of the highest level medical kits. Now, these higher level surgery kits, higher level med kits, they take up more space. But when it comes to how much utility you get per storage spot used, the higher level items, though they take up more space, they are more efficient. in amount of healing per space per unit of storage used. And so the advantage is to bring in those high-level kits. They have less of a derogatory effect on your overall health over time. Surgical kits in this game, using a surgical kit lowers your overall health. You don't just get all the way up to 100% health for free because you used a health kit. It lowers your overall health, but patches you up in a way where you can use that limb. So the higher level surgical kits, they reduce your max health by a smaller percentage. So that's part of the learning curve in this game. And these players, some of whom we've seen today that are so used to and so experienced with navigating Armory and knowing all of those in-game mechanics to max out all those in-game mechanics. You see every time Sade pops into his storage, all of the gold shaded items in his storage. He has pinpointed where these high loot areas are on Armory as a map, and is going and has his route worked out. And we see him kind of chaining together these games, same game after game, run through the same foothold in Armory, same loot spots, same safes. And they're running into gunfights and dealing with these gunfights as they move through bunker successfully every time so far. All right, we're going to take a few minutes here. We've featured 4 or 5 creators mostly, but we have quite a few more creators in this event. We're going to be checking in on their streams and seeing if we can get connected to some of these streams. We're back with Inera. Switch our audio here.
From ADS to hip fire.
I don't know.
Another thing you'll notice is the difference in gun choices from these different competitors, creators. The gun choices will be all over the place. This is not like many other mobile games you've seen where there is a really dominant meta. What you see is that some of the most popular guns early on in this game are just guns that people have more familiarity with from other games. The M4 is always going to be super popular, and then so are some of those starter ARs, because the AR the game gives you initially is the AR you get the most experience with early on. But as we see people develop in this game and spend more time in this game, what I think you'll notice is that gun choices really are all over the place, and it comes down to play style, preferred play style, how you like to take these gunfights, what range you expect to be taking gunfights at, and what map you play on. You know, you rarely see people bring in a big, heavy AX-50 sniper rifle onto Armory if they plan on going in bunker. It's not the common choice. And so you see a variety of gun choices already here, AKs being some of the most popular, M4s being very popular, and then the MPX, MP5 using the dum-dum ammo or the AP 6.3 ammo as really popular choices consistently in this kind of format. And to go over the format and what these creators are trying to accomplish, again, is this is a loot race. The loot race format is that you get a specific amount of time, in this case 2.5 hours, and in that 2.5 hours you can play as many games as possible. And the way this is scored is all successful extraction loot values added up for that 2.5 hour time. And so one of the tactics that we've seen be so successful so far is going to those high loot maps and really trying to flow through gunfights, keep moving, keep looting, and not get bogged down. And we do see some situations here, though, where, you know, if you get caught, if you get cornered and you get killed by another team, the entire game is lost because a failed extraction is 0 loot value in this format. And in this game, a failed extraction, a death, an MIA, if you do not get to the extract point by the time that remaining time countdown timer on the top left goes to 0, you are MIA and returned to your home screen with none of your gear, guns, ammo, anything. And so they see all these footsteps, they see multiple footsteps, and when I say see footsteps, I'm referring to the white indicators under the compass on the screen. The in-game audio in this is highly directional and really high quality, dealing with grenades, but the perfect angle with cover, you see only her hearing is affected here. Downed that player, got too aggressive trying to clear the bathroom. Inera able to drop a player just by being patient and having the right angle to not get hit by these nades. Another nade in. only hurts her hearing. She's picked up what it looks like a perfect position for this gunfight. Get an angle. Nade, the player's right outside the door. Her nade's on her, potentially. She gets out of the bathroom, takes a little bit of damage from the...
On him this time. You're not in front of me.
From the fire.
I don't know if I killed him, though.
Grab is gone.
I don't have.
She has no indicator of whether or not she killed him. She's out of bullets in her current mag. If she has no magazines to reload, she's down to her secondary gun. I think she was successful with that grenade, though, but she has no indicator right now as to whether or not that enemy player outside that door is dead or alive. And so she's still, even though she's thrown the grenade, even though she's gotten out of there somewhat safely, she still has to be careful trying to push towards that hallway.
I'm all hurt.
Likely waiting for her teammate here to maneuver around and get an angle on that hallway to guarantee that she's got some safety there.
He's probably scared too. He's still here though.
I really need his gun, though.
I don't have smokes anymore. I can close the door.
We'll be checking in here shortly, and I will give you a top 6
He's still watching. He's tricking
account so far on our score. We're gonna watch as Inera works her way through this gunfight. They see those footsteps. They know there are other players, but she's got her teammate with her now. Full health.
Just go.
It is very clear. Oh, and she goes down!
I could not. Oh my gosh. You were right in front of me. Even though if I could grab the gun, I'm gonna die. Because I can't.
Inera gets killed. The first player went through into the bathroom. And here, and if there's one mistake here, the mistake is that they chose to take on the gunfight with the second player in the same place as the first.
He went there.
The player knew they knew he was in there, knew where his teammate died, and was able to double them up right there. They backed themselves into a corner, and unfortunately, they gave the enemy player too much information. He knew where they were, and that is Operation Failed. And that's what I mean. That is a 0 loot value game. Now, we are going to jump over to Sade again as we see some views from Armory, and I'm going to be covering an update on our score so far. All right, right now for loot value, we have Lil Peru with 137,000 total loot value. We have Space, who we're going to try and check in with here pretty soon. I've got Space's stream. We're going to reload his stream and see if we can get him live. Space with 44,000 loot value. Not a lot of value, but he does have a successful extraction. 17 total kills so far. Zerme with 2.4 million so far in loot value. We are going to have to check in with Zerme's stream. We're going to pull that up here pretty soon. IMO with 1.1 million. ChessGamers with 204,000. Our top 3, we have Sade in first place with 2.9 million in loot value right now. Zerme in second place with 2.4 million in loot value right now. And IMO in third with 1.1 million in loot value. So we're going to pull up some of those top 3 streamers, or excuse me, those top 3 player streams so we can make sure to check in with them as we go here. Right now we see Sade activating the extraction once again in Armory. Right, as he moves down to that loot or that extraction point, we're going to be checking in with the man, the myth, the legend, IMO.
15 KO and Kane.
Nice. I've had a Kane two games in a row right now, bro.
IMO here. On our leaderboard. Close to the top. Looks like we have our scores updated. An update to the score. IMO still in third place, but much closer. Has dropped that difference by quite a bit. We have Sade in first place with 2.99 million. Zerme in second place with 2.47 million. And IMO now in third place with 2.12 million coin in extraction value. We're going to watch Imo move towards stables here on farm. Interesting. Looks like he's chosen to do farm on lockdown mode. It must be lockdown mode. I wouldn't imagine he'd be playing regular farm as a map for loot value in a loot value race here. But lockdown mode in these maps is a higher level, more difficult mode. You expect players to have more loot value on them. All of the guards also have higher level gear, and the safes and high loot zones have better loot in them on that more difficult mode. And so I expect that is what we see here, farm lockdown mode, lockdown zone, excuse me. And Imo moving towards stables.
Most likely. Let me check.
Pretty carefully. We haven't seen his teammate. I'm not sure if his teammate's on the map with him or his teammate could potentially be down already.
He's dead. Killed him.
Oh, look. It looks like his teammate's up and in the fight. So we're going to see them link back up here in a second and watch and see what loot decisions we see from Imo. We've got him in 3rd place, and this is a top 3 player who is not playing Armory as a map. We've seen a lot from Sade so far in Armory, and the tactic he's chosen is very, very clear. He's using the exact same entry point and the exact route through Armory to those high loot zones and a quick extraction, and then putting that on repeat. But we see Imo, who has a lot of experience, probably one of the most experienced content creators in this game. He knows these maps. He knows where the high loot value items are. And what we see from him right now is that he's not on Armory.
Trash ammo. 100.
Now, stables upstairs, portion of the barn here on stables does have a safe. I expect we'll see
I don't know where it is.
Owen hit the stairs here and check the safe. It also has a military supplies. If you get the right grenades in this box, it could be high loot value. Low value ammo, you see he doesn't even pick it up. That gray background ammo is always going to be less than 200 in value per bullet, at most 300 in value per bullet, whereas as you see those gold ammo, sometimes as much as 1,000 or more, some as many as 2,000 coin per bullet. And so he's being very careful to only pick up those high loot value items. Nothing good in the safe.
You have, I know, you're on the other side.
In the grass, but
Teammate waiting for him as they approach Motel. Motel on farm is the hottest spot. He's got an AI player there. One shot to the head.
Right, okay.
And Imo. They also have an airdrop, so this is definitely lockdown zone. That airdrop is going to have high value items in it. It is full of things, and if it drops weapons, it drops meds, it drops ammo. If you get lucky with that airdrop, RNG is a factor, but you may find gold ammo, level 4, level 5 ammo in that airdrop potentially, as well as a weapon. Now, some of those weapons might only get you 1, 2, 3,000 in value, but there's a potential that you can pull a weapon out of that airdrop that has 15K or more in value. So it looks like they're going to move towards Motel here, and then I expect, you saw Imo look up at where that airdrop was falling. I expect he's made a mental note that after they clear through farm, they're going to move towards that airdrop because there's an opportunity to potentially fight another team there, as well as all the loot value in that drop.
fuck me over. Yeah, they're in the main entrance.
Yeah, I thought so. Looking for him?
I gotta kill the scuff. You want me to lose this scuff's gonna be annoying.
On, peek your head. Peek your head, bruv.
They're running
They're still in there.
up and down the front. Yep.
All right, we're going to be checking in with Zerme here in a second. I want to make sure we're saying his name right. Right now, I'm checking on his stream in the background here. He is prepping for his next mission. He is our next gamer that we're going to be checking in on. He is in 2nd place here with over 2 million. And I'm going to be updating you live as we get updates to the score. Sade posting big numbers. Sade up to 4.3 million in loot value. Imo and Zerme have some work to do right now. We've got only 3 teams that are over 2 million in loot value. The scoring start to spread out here as we get fewer, or as we get further and further into this time period.
Almost.
All right, as Imo moves into Motel, we see Zerme here queuing up for a game on Armory. That's what I expect to see. I was surprised to see Imo not on Armory, but lockdown zone on farm is absolutely a viable tactic there. And one thing is for sure, that the farm lockdown zone extractions are far, far more accessible. And that may be driving this tactic, is to not have to deal with that armory extraction, but still have high loot value opportunity to run farm lockdown zone.
That's a beautiful nade.
Nade landing right in front of motel entrance
If you want to
there.
nade that. Hit once. He's in the angle that I was.
With the precise shots. Sees where this player is. Patience to hold his position here, looking for any potential angle. He sees that movement, looking for the headshots. Getting hits.
He's absolutely beamed.
He's low health, but it does not look like Imo was able to drop in there. It looks like with him in that level of pressure, this is a position where you expect to see a team potentially push here. So we're going to see what Imo does.
Outside.
Yeah, killed him.
Right, we can push this last guy then.
Yep, that's what we expect. His teammate calls out a kill. They know they have one member of that team mortally wounded, potentially. He's going to make sure he's healthy as he moves up. He's got just enough cover from the building there to know he's pretty safe to be able to hit the meds, hit the bandages.
He was top floor, right?
Yeah, top floor, run right. Give me the bathroom.
So we watch him clear through this top floor, getting the callouts from his teammates, getting information. Now, I yesterday ran into a guy hiding in these bathroom stalls. Imo had better be careful with these stalls. He doesn't even check the stalls. The faith.
One shot, bud.
Those stalls in that bathroom are notorious for campers. Checking everywhere. His jump peaks. Checks the backyard. He's not finding this player. Does not look like anyone is in that stall. Picks up his backpack.
Dude, I put so much ammo into that guy.
He won his ass. That's why.
Yeah, I did shoot him in the ass a couple of times, to be honest. He's at the back somewhere, mate. He's healing at the back somewhere.
Looking for the angle, looking for an opportunity. You see, they don't want to immediately push into that back area because they don't want to have to risk exposure going down those stairs, picking a better angle, maintaining the high ground.
Yeah, I know where he's on. I have my.
Thinks he may see movement through the window there. The light in this game is unbelievably accurate. When you come inside from a bright area, there's actually a brightness adjustment period the same way as if you walked into a dark room from outside normally. So all of those things are a factor. He's not able to see through those windows super well because of the reflection of light. There's another airdrop coming in. We see Imo trying to get a visual indicator of where that airdrop, which is a high loot value opportunity. He wants to see where that airdrops. Looks like they're going to go ahead and give up on that player that dipped.
That plane would go away.
And make a move towards either the airdrop or potentially try and interdict him if he's taking this southern extraction here.
2 or 3. Oh no, I guess he used us. Orky.
There really is only one way to get out and get to a very efficient, quick, easy escape or extraction here, and it is this southern extraction point that we see Imo.
We can extract now and just secure that just one bag of loot, or we can keep looting. It's entirely up to you.
I'm checking his bag, see what he's got. Oh, he's got a UPS. He's got gold item. We can extract it, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. What's the loot value for that?
60,000.
It's not crazy, but I don't want to waste any more time in this game right now.
Making decisions right now about whether or not they want to loot more, potentially what those opportunities look like, what effort it's going to take to get to a place where there's more high value loot, or whether they get out of this game, quickly extract, reset, and get back into another one.
No.
Coming up on just about the hour-and-a-half mark here. 1 hour left for these players.
So how much loot we got right
And
now?
again, as we get some scoring updates, I will keep everyone in the loop.
We've got what? About
Imo coming in for his extraction here. And we're going to check in with Zerme. See if we can get a good connection. Taking a look back with Sade in Armory.
Yeah, they pulled the switch. Yeah, I forgot that.
Our leading team right now.
I'm running.
Looking like they've got
I'm coming to you.
what is surely the strongest tactics we've seen so far. with this consistency in Armory. Consistency, they know what to expect every time because they're taking the same route through bunker every time. Headshots, threading the needle. Seemingly a horde of guards on their way through, picking up angles, picking up cover, maximizing their safety as they manage the threats in this bunker.
That's good. But he's not the problem, you know, that S12K guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you just joining us now, this is the Trovo Creator Showdown, the first Trovo Creator Showdown since the Arena Breakout launch, and our first one on this game. We have multiple teams out there in a 2.5-hour window. They can play as many games as they can fit into that 2.5-hour window, and what they are competing for, how this is scored, is the maximum loot value that qualifies. You have to successfully extract in order for your loot value to register. And so with all their successful extractions that they can pull off in that 2.5-hour window, the maximum, the one with the most loot value wins. Right now, we are with the leader, Sade, his teammate Trashy. Sade with 4.39 million in loot value right now. In second place, we have Zerme. We're going to see if we can get a connection to his stream so we can check in with him on his progress on Armory. And then in third place, we have IMO with 2.1 million in coin. So a big gap between first and second place, but the race for second is a hot one between Zerme and IMO. All right, we've got a connection to Zerme's stream right now. Similar situation to what we saw with Sade, holding angles in Armory. See some movement there. You notice the absolute zero delay on those guards. They immediately acquire the target and begin firing. Got to be very careful with angles in this building. You see him reloading a magazine. Similar tactics to other extraction shooters. You have to account for every single individual round, reload those magazines bullet by bullet, and so you'll see players bring between 2, 4, potentially 5 magazines into a game and a pile of bullets. Gets rushed. Zerme almost going down there. Blacked out leg, broken arm, body bright red. He needs to heal. He needs to heal before he bleeds out. Goes for the painkillers first so that he doesn't have that reduced movement speed. But with at the rate he's being pushed right now, the pressure that he's under, he has to get those heals in if he wants to be able to continue to take these gunfights. Taking a minute to reload his ammo here, potentially heal up, checking a couple of safes. Getting an opportunity here to check in with Space in his lobby screen in between games. We'll check back in with Space as he gets an opportunity when he gets into his next game. ChessGamers here, queuing into his next game. We are going to see if we can get a connection to Little B's stream. Little B playing with his teammate Monarch. Unable to connect right now. We're going to check back in with Owen. IMO on farm again. Looks like the tactic we see here among the top 3 is that we have 2 teams running Armory over and over, and our third place team, IMO, making the decision to run farm on lockdown zone.
Maybe no one spawned at this time.
Yeah, they spawned over the other side, bro.
Loading area. I'll go through, check the room on my voice.
IMO showing absolute precision with those headshots against guards as he approaches these buildings. Now, the decision to run farm on lockdown zone does give you the ability to be a little bit more aggressive with your maneuver. quite a bit less guard density, fewer guard numbers than you'll see on Armory. And the guards have just a little bit less when it comes to quality of ammo.
Oh, the loot is so bad.
IMO struggling with the loot on this one.
Interesting, mate.
That silver coin not nearly worth what some of the higher level items we've seen from Sade on Armory is worth.
I think Ajax is up there.
Yeah, grenades over this direction, mate. I'm gonna go take a look now.
Again, with these one-shot kills dealing with guards as he moves very quickly across the map.
Yeah, that's storage, mate.
I think Scav Boss is alive. That's why.
You hear his teammate mentioning the boss that is potentially alive. The bosses and their gangs on these maps do carry the potential for really, really high loot value items. Again, one-shot headshot from IMO. Picking up this angle. Oh my goodness, he's...
Oh, bruv. He had it, yeah, a real player dead.
That is a real player camping in the prone on top of the wall. IMO with the perfect hop up. And one-shot headshot. Absolute rat play from that other player, but IMO
On the outside wall?
showing what level of experience is required to really demonstrate some excellence on a map like Farm Lockdown Zone. You can tell how many times he's been in this area on this map to be able to take that angle. I don't think we've seen him miss with a bullet in several minutes. One-shot headshot every kill so far.
Wait, he's not inside, is he?
He's gonna run left towards helicopter.
Yeah, I see him.
At long distance, really effective with the shots.
He's prone. He's dead.
IMO able to take down another player here. Gives them the opportunity to run back and loot his first kill from this team. And what you see here, the tactic that you see, we watched
You got him?
ChessGamers struggle earlier with a quick run to loot a player after he killed him. IMO, his team, showing a little bit more patience here, dealing with all of the players on the team before he takes the time to run back and loot the first kill.
X50, bruv.
Big value on that gun.
What the
Potential 120k plus value from just that one item. Depending on how it's built out, could potentially be even closer to 200k. That AX50, huge value, especially on Lockdown Zone. If he sees high value ammo here,
We can just straight up extract, but for like...
that's a huge kill for him.
This is so much loot value, and it didn't even take us that long, so yeah, we might...
Missing backpack though, so he may
6k, I might as well just...
may have some cause to go searching for a backpack, but they're definitely going to want to loot the other teammate in case they've got
Yeah, let's just straight up extract, bruv.
a team here with some high loot value. But they're going to move quickly to the extraction point. You see him hit that blue injection. That blue injection allows you to ignore the overweight status.
It's only 11 more seconds, mate.
Is it?
Yeah.
Surely not.
That blue shot's going to allow him to ignore his overweight status, not lose quite as much stamina running with too much weight. And you may see them also hit a red injection. That red injection speeds the rate that your stamina recovers and increases the maximum stamina that you have for a temporary period of time.
Oh, I haven't. Well, the one on the road.
Yeah, on the board. You can
I'm gonna
usually
check the
find
jacket. Jacket's in the weapon grade.
Alright, I'll go check it, and then we'll head over to extract, right?
Yep. You see IMO running up to check
There's like an easy...
the teammate he killed.
Yeah, just goes.
Check the second player.
That's an easy...
He's got a little bit of space left in his storage.
Let me have a look here. How much is that worth?
100k.
110.
110k on that
And
weapon.
the thing is, it's just fast games right now, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we get more games in. Like, if we're on Armory, like, yeah, there's chances of dying a lot easier. And the games last forever. I'm so fat right now, dude.
As we look through some of these scores being updated, we see quite a few teams. More than half of our teams registering
Check out this little hut as well, mate. On the
a 0 loot value for game 1. And then more than half of our teams registering a 0 loot value for game 2, game 3, and game 4. So if you see me not mentioning a lot of teams, or if we haven't been to all the streams yet, obviously we can only watch one at a time. We have quite a few teams playing right now, but we are focusing on the teams that are having some successful extractions. As of right now, we have Sade completing 4 games successfully, 4.39 million in loot value. We expect that to get updated as he potentially gets in his 5th game. We may even see a 6th game from Sade's team. Space with 2 successful extractions so far. Imo with 4 successful extractions on his 5th game. Zerme with 3 successful extractions, looking like a death on game 4, but into game 5 now. So our top couple of teams clearly being able to max out the number of games they can iterate in this 2.5-hour time period for the Trovo Creator Showdown. Again, thanks for joining us for the Showdown this month. This is our first Trovo Creator Showdown since the launch of Arena Breakout, the first super realistic extraction shooter for mobile, and it is purely for mobile. Players are not allowed to play this game on an emulator, so you know when you play Arena Breakout, you are playing against other people on mobile devices. We see Imo with absolute precision with his fire here, taking out some of these guards. One shot at a time in many cases.
Yeah, I'm alive. He's dead.
Looking to move as quickly as they can towards this extraction point.
I have to do a fix, but I'll do it when I get to
Yeah, take your time, mate. There's
I'm
shots
doing
going down in Motel right now. To be fair, I can probably like clear out. Well, I've got loads of.
All right, we're gonna move over and check in with Zerme again. On Armory right now. Outside of bunker, he may be moving out of bunker here to take one of the outside exterior extraction points. As you see him getting shot here, he's got bots, guards, potentially other teams moving from multiple angles. He's able to see those visual footstep indicators as well as hear it. But on Armory, there are quite a few of those sirens, quite a few of those loud audio cues that really limit your ability to hear some of the quieter tactical cues like footsteps from farther away. You can see he's got incoming fire, but he's pretty confident in the lack of ability, the practical stormtrooper status of that guard's aim right now, trying to shoot him through a fence. He doesn't even elect to deal with the guard, instead to move as quickly as he can towards this extraction point. Hearing footsteps and seeing those visual indicators from several directions at once. Zerme currently in 2nd place. 2.57 million in extraction value. Similar tactic to Sade, just a little bit less successful on the consistent extractions, with looking like 1 failed extraction so far. Slowly dealing with this angle to deal with this guard. Does not want to expose himself too much. Not sure if this is a guard or another player he's dealing with here. Probably guards. Very, very careful movement from these teams that we see that are playing Armory. All right, as Zerme moves towards an extraction point, we're going to check back in with Sade, see if we still have him live here.
Game some spells.
Still on Armory, still executing to plan. In his 5th game on Armory so far, nearly doubling his closest competitors in loot value.
Oh, syringe went off.
All right, we're going to check and see if we can check in with some of these other teams that we haven't had a chance to watch yet. We see Space loading into a covert ops game. An interesting choice. He may have had a couple of deaths here that have cut his gear down. He did die on his last game, so he may have had a couple of deaths here that have cut his gear down to the point where he's being forced to run a covert ops game. We'll check it back in with him as that game develops. Going to take a look back at ChestGamers here on farm as well. Looking like he's got lockdown zone chosen as well. And ChestGamers goes down. Unlucky in his last 3 games. ChestGamers dying to IMO. We see these players in the same lobbies. IMO eliminating one of his competitors in this event.
Oh, that's great. I'm chancing it.
IMO able to successfully eliminate one of the other competitors. We see him move into loot. Believe he is looting ChestGamers right now, and the opportunity to loot another one of the competitors in this event means that you have a great opportunity at high loot value. And these players are playing in open lobbies. As a reminder, we see IMO run into ChestGamers, and IMO with the absolute consistency, those one-shot headshots, proves to be the victor in that encounter. And look at all of the loot value. This is literally hundreds of thousands in loot value moving from one team in the Trovo Creator Showdown to another. They're going to have to link up as a team and get together to be able to distribute all of this high value loot. IMO taking the loot off of Team ChestGamers in a massive swing between 2 competitors in this Trovo Creator Showdown.
Can you carry my backpack?
I can carry the stuff. I can try and carry it back if you want me to.
Yeah, let me just unload some of these magazines, and then.
So what you see here is the Tetris of trying to maximize storage capacity. What we may see here is IMO's teammate will try and put a backpack in his own backpack and then fill up a backpack inside of a backpack. The Russian doll method of stacking gear in an extraction shooter. It takes quite a few different skill sets to min-max this game, but he's going to try and load up one backpack, try and fit everything he possibly can, leaving only the lowest loot value items behind.
Yeah. Come take this, bro.
Potentially an opportunity to drop his own backpack for his teammate. His teammate able to potentially roll that up and carry it out of the map while he takes his opponent's ChestGamers backpack with all of that loot value, moves straight towards this southern extraction point, maxing his team out. A real chance for IMO to move up into second place from third place here.
Coming from the right-hand side where
They have footsteps close to this southern extraction point. Looks like he's just going to have to deal with some guards here, not another team. Checking all of the potential angles where he could be ambushed from on this extraction.
Activate this, because
Activate it.
I'm assuming they're going to be...
We're going to sit here for another 55 seconds with Team IMO, check this loot value, and see how much value he took off of ChestGamers. Taking shots on the extraction point. Throwing some smoke. Are they going to abandon this extraction to try and get in this gunfight? It looked... Oh, he sees where that grenade just got thrown from. Looks like they're trying to... we've got this team trying to interdict them on the extraction. And it looks like this gunfight's going to play out to the point where they're going to need to miss that extraction, which will eliminate the opportunity to extract from that southern point, and they'll have to move across the map. This gunfight causing significant delays as they deal with all of the grenades over the fence here. And aggressive grenade push from this team. Are we going to see another shift in loot?
I think we've been stream sniped. This is a guy that stream snipes Ross every single time.
Unfortunate if so. Again, that is the risk of these formats where we do a loot race or a kill race in these open lobbies. We have some slight delays in the stream to make it a little bit more difficult to stream snipe, but not massive delays on this event. Throwing grenades. Trying to get these angles and try not to get stuck in one position. Continual maneuver.
That's one dead.
Beautiful angle with the headshots from Imo. That careful maneuver, but keeping the enemy guessing. Got to make sure his magazines are full, that he's got enough ammo to deal with this. They've lost their opportunity now to extract from this southern extraction point. And in order to get all of that loot value off this map and successfully extract, Imo will now have to deal with this team, get out of this gunfight successfully, whether that means breaking contact or killing the rest of this team. He's going to have to deal with this team successfully and then move to an alternate extraction point as he sees that red smoke go away and they lose their extraction opportunity.
You know, call the extract again.
This guy's going to be baiting.
They may have an opportunity, as you heard his teammates say, to call that extraction point again. What he means by that, that's a paid extraction point. Costs coin, several thousand coin in order to extract there. I believe it's 9,000 on lockdown zone, potentially 6,000. And he may have the opportunity to reactivate that extraction point by paying again. But they will have to deal with this threat first.
I've got no ammo left. You got shot from down here, did you?
Yep.
Oh shit.
If you see him with, I would scope out.
As we see Imo deal with this situation with his team, checking in again, we don't see any major changes to the score here. We still have Sade in first place with a big margin, over 4 million in loot value, successfully extracted off of Armory. Zerme, 2.5 million in loot value, and Imo with 2.3 million. All other teams distant behind those three. As we get a little lag there, we're checking in with Sade. Sade just entering in his 5th game. So as we get that updated here, we'll see a 5th game and potentially Sade extending that gap over the competition. We see ChessGamers back into another game on farm. Imo sorting through. It looks like he's looting now. Potentially move up on those players that he killed.
Yeah, Pioneer is on the right. 2 fouls.
Checking in with Zerme again in Armory, working his way through bunker. Constant pressure from these guards in Armory.
Сейчас минута пройдет, ты сможешь посмотреть. Но только потом ты не сможешь посмотреть за мной. Нахуй.
Я уже смотрю, блядь.
Бля, ну нахуя?
Вот тупо АФК стоит, блядь. Ты такой посмотрел на свитов своего.
A key factor here on Armory is being able to stay calm under the pressure and understand where the threats are through the visual indicators, the audio indicators, because there's a lot going on. It gets very busy. You see Zerme could not be more relaxed. A sip of tea with enemies all around him. Patience, calm under pressure, and able to make some clear decisions on where he needs to be, where his angles need to be, where his threats are coming from, and how to address maneuver through this bunker.
Бля, космос, ну ты пиздец, конечно, просто.
Coming up to our last 20%, our last half hour of this window here. Players likely have an opportunity to get one more game in if they extract from their current game soon and are able to queue back in. Potentially enough time to get one more game in. We have Sade with a runaway lead right now. Zerme in second place. Imo in third. And then scores all over the map from there. Right now, to go through fourth place, because we're really looking for a top 6 today. We see players down at 173,000 loot value, for El Pecco, 204,000 loot value for ChessGamers, just getting killed a second ago by IMO, 44,000 in loot value from Space, and Lil Peru with 137,000 in loot value. We do not have all of the scores updated from everyone though, so as we get more updates, we'll keep you up to speed. But it looks like we have Little B's team taking several deaths so far. More than one team dying in 4 games in a row with 0 loot value. So focusing here for the last half hour on our top 3 teams to see who wins the day today. Zerme managing his situation here in Armory. We're going to check back in with Sade, see if Sade is back into another game already. Sade now looking like he is in... Looking like he's finishing up extracting from game 5, potentially. We're going to see what this loot value looks like. Massive, massive loot value. Multiple rigs in his backpack. Those rigs full of items as well. Clearing space in the last 10 seconds here just to make sure he's picking up the highest value items.
GG's, boys. GG's.
Massive
We made around 2.5, at least 2.5.
value on this extraction. Sade with our biggest extraction so far of the day. 1.5 million in loot value. In one single game, we have Sade in a single game putting up more loot value than many of the other teams today have managed to put up in 4 games combined. Not combined 4 games. About Sade in one game able to put up more loot value than potentially 8 or 9 teams in 4 games combined. To give you some context on how huge an extraction, you see 1.5 million in value from Sade, 1.05, that's 2.55 million in loot value from this game from Sade and Trashy. A massive addition to their already colossal lead, keeping them in first place and absolutely securing them the win. Let's check in with IMO and Zerme. We've got these 2 teams vying for second place. The battle is now for second, with Sade dominating so far today. 5, potentially 6 successful extractions. Over 6 million in total loot value so far.
Before I start moving. If
We're seeing IMO navigate this game on farm lockdown zone. If he's able to extract in the next 5 to 10 minutes, he may be able to get another quick game in, get another iteration. The format for today, this is a loot race, a timed loot race. So all of the players in this event have 2.5 hours, as many games as they're able to get in 2.5 hours, to maximize their loot value in that time. Loot value is only counted on successful extractions. You'll see when teams die, their end game screen shows a 0 loot value on the extraction.
Oh, bro.
We're getting updates via screenshots from all the teams as we go. Sade's loot value now updated to 6.95 million, just under 7 million in loot value in 5 games from Sade. A nearly unbelievable number.
If I get out with this, to be fair.
We have a battle for second place here between Zerme and IMO. They're moving, Team IMO moving towards the extraction point, giving himself around or just under 30 minutes to potentially complete a 6th game.
He ran to where we spawned.
Unless he wants to just, like you said, if that's the same...
First place nearly out of reach for all of these teams, but a very close battle for second, and then scores all over the place from there for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th.
Maybe he isn't.
We'll take a look here with some of these other teams. We have Space in a game. Space having had some trouble in some low extraction games. He has had 2 successful extractions. If he has the opportunity to get an extraction here in this game with over 200,000 in loot value, he could potentially move up into 4th or 5th place. That is how big the gap is between first in a league of their own, second and third, tight at over 2 million. Everyone else in that 100K to 250K range. Now remember, all of these teams on these maps are playing as duos in open lobbies. And so these lobbies are full of geared up 4-person teams, full of guards.
Did you listen to the freaking
They're having to manage the process of dealing with all of those threats in only a duo. So as we see Space going through a little bit of loot here, he's got about half an hour left, 9 minutes plus left in this game. He does have an opportunity to slide into 4th or 5th place, especially given he's got that airdrop there. Looks like he's playing on lockdown zone where we see those airdrops. Got to deal with some of the guards in that area. Although this may be a covert ops game. That's right, we saw Space load into a covert ops game. He could get a solid loot value off of this map and actually be competing for 4th or 5th place. Check and see if we can get any update from Little B and Monarch. It doesn't look like it. We have ChessGamers looting, still pursuing an opportunity here. ChessGamers right now is in 4th place with 204,000 in loot value. Only one successful extraction in his first game, and still enough for 4th place. Some of these players may not know how close they are to coming into that top 6. Checking back in to see if we can get connected to Lil Peru again. Lil Peru again in 6th place currently, loading into what is likely going to be his final game here. A lockdown zone game on what looks like Valley. We look back with Imo working through his inventory here, setting up for his next game, his last opportunity to get a game in here, submitting his last extraction value. We're going to see when those scores get updated, and then he's got an opportunity to get one more game in and potentially steal 2nd place from Zerme. We have Sade loading into his 6th and likely final game on Armory. Look at the keys in Sade's inventory. Insane. 45,000 or 100,000 coin keys in that inventory. You see a massive, massive amount of coin in Sade's inventory as well. And this is what happens for these grinders. Consistently, these players that are on Armory all day, every day, you see them in the IND 70 helmet, that level 6 helmet with full face all-around coverage. Level 6 armor.
They cannot even win.
Huge backpacks. Checking in with Zerme, still in Armory, in a gunfight, dealing with those guards. But you notice, even though he's able to drop 2 guards, Armory is a dangerous map. He's got a broken arm, takes quite a bit of damage throughout the rest of his body, has to hit the first aid kit, and ignoring that broken arm for now, using just painkillers. But plenty of loot opportunities here, a full inventory. We are going to need to see a big extraction value from Team Imo to outpace a successful extraction with this inventory value from Team Zerme.
Нет, это тот, который ты говорил, full shade. Только что, с РПКшкой, который...
Так он full 5. Он 5-й броня, 4-й шлем, короче, да, я объебался. Тут ты прав.
Боты тупо ползут на диком, это, конечно, да, это боль.
We have 27 minutes left in this competition. Again, to touch on this format, for those of us who are joining us late, this is the first Creator Showdown since the global launch of Arena Breakout, our first time playing the Creator Showdown on Arena Breakout. These teams are in a loot value race. They've had 2.5 hours to be able to extract as much loot value from these maps as possible. They get as many games as they can fit into 2.5 hours. Successful extractions are the only ones that will count the loot value. And it is from both team members. And so we have seen some teams with a player go down and only one get off the map. That is half the inventory space to get loot off the map in those games. So every life matters here on these games for these teams. Teammates aren't just only in a support role. They're there to also carry loot off of these maps as part of the team. So the maximum amount of loot value in 2.5 hours is the score, and we have our top 3 teams with runaway leads over the rest of the field and an absolute fight for 4th, 5th, 6th position. The battle for second at over 2 million coin between Team Zerme, who we're watching right now as he consolidates his loot on Armory before an extraction, and Team IMO. We hop in with Team IMO. He's buying a few supplies. He's going to need, let's see here. Let's catch up.
Is it because of the cash? Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
He is going to need to get into his next game ASAP if he wants to be able to get this done. We see him jumping into Valley on lockdown zone, changing up the map. Exact same gear between or nearly the exact same gear between these two teammates, with a difference in their choices of guns, supporting weapons. One a little bit more of a sniper, one a little bit more of a AR focus with these builds. But what we noticed from this team, IMO, all day long, unbelievable accuracy and ammo efficiency on these maps.
20 minutes, mate. So,
choosing between different map lockdown zone instead of picking Armory. They have 20 minutes, they acknowledge, to get off of this map.
Get straight back out.
So this is going to be a quick run from Team IMO. Take a look at Sade and see how his progress through Armory. They're making they're getting the foothold in Armory, getting through the door here into the bunker. We have 23 minutes left in this competition for these guys to get a successful extraction and get off of Armory. But at this point for Sade, it nearly does not matter. They have almost 7 million in loot value with second and third. That battle for second in the mid 2 millions. No one can catch them. You are watching the team that has been the most consistent, the most successful so far today. Checking back in with Zerme, going to activate that extraction point on Armory. The longer he stays on Armory here, the more it looks like this is his last game. He's going to have a couple of minutes before he's able to successfully extract, because once they activate that extraction point, remember, there is a countdown that is longer than some of those other maps. So they're going to have to wait for this extraction point to be activated, potentially reset and get back into another game. This may be the last game for Team Zerme, leaving, adding to their loot total, but leaving IMO with another game, potentially getting one more game in. Guards doing some damage. You have to activate that extraction and then successfully make your way down to the extraction point through all of these guards who know that you're coming. Extraction lever on the top floor there in bunker for the extraction point on the bottom floor. You see all of those visual indicators of footsteps with that up arrow indicating that those footsteps are coming from the floor above. Got to slowly and carefully move through these hallways. Moving carefully and quietly as he sees footsteps in all directions above him on his same level. Sees the laser there. Not sure if that's his teammate's laser or potentially an enemy laser. Looks like probably an enemy laser. Moving very carefully. There's a laser there. Looks like he is going to have an opportunity to get this kill given away by the laser. He's made his way successfully to this extraction point, but as you see, when he gets on the extraction point, he still has 87 seconds. Not sure if his teammate is still alive or not. It looks like he is a solo. His teammate's already gone down potentially. Taking massive shots, could potentially die on the extraction. Able to get the kill. Inches from death. Zerme almost losing this extraction. If he is to die here, IMO has a much, much more increased likelihood of getting that second place in the event. He's a solo extraction. This is going to be a close run for second as we get into the final 20 minutes of the competition.
Ему ни одной галочки не поставили, не подадут скриншот. А у нас 3.
Мне кажется, вот это чел. Это чел, блядь.
IMO with an updated score of 2.7 million. IMO coming into second place. Zerme about to get this extraction potentially, although he's under assault. He is now in third place. This extraction, if successful, likely to put him back into second place as we wait IMO's attempt at a final game in these last 20 minutes. But there is no guarantee he's going to survive these next 20 seconds here on this extraction point, constantly under pressure, unloading grenades in all directions to try and give this assault some pause so he can last another 7 seconds and get off this map alive.
Бля, надо было с пионером на
Доброй ночи, я тут. Что интересного тут происходит? Райм, мы когда...
Zerme, a successful extraction.
Ты вышел живой.
Let's take a look at this loot value.
Давай еще раз запустимся, Арсенал.
0.13. Нам не хватит времени. Нам тупо не... Давай, нет, надо ферму идти. 621 коса.
621,000.
621 вынес,
A strong loot value for single player extraction here. But what that's going to do is that will create
А может будет считаться.
Я скину как бы там...
a 400,000 coin lead somewhere in that range over Team IMO. So Zerme back into second place with that successful extraction. Once he's able to submit that score, he's going to pop in to second place. And it all, like, the second place finish on this competition is all down to whether or not Team IMO can get off of this Valley lockdown zone game successfully. They're going to need over 400,000, probably close to 500,000 in loot value for their team. Absolutely doable on any one of these lockdown zone maps. IMO with the potential to secure second place if he's able to successfully extract off this map. Now, Valley is an interesting choice because there's an extraction point on the helipad right next to Villa, which is one of the hottest areas on this map, most likely areas for loot and gunfights with other teams. If you're able to get 3 dog tags, you have to collect those dog tags off of TAC Ops players, other teams on this map. If you're able to get 3 dog tags, you can pay 3 dog tags for the helipad extraction.
Taking painkillers real quick. Give me 2 seconds. Coming in.
So many of them.
Team IMO in a fight here. His teammates in the fight in Villa really need to keep both teammates alive here to increase the likelihood that they have the space and the opportunity to get 400,000, potentially 500,000 or 600,000, what they'll need to take second place to get that off of this map. Footsteps everywhere, taking shots. Returning fire, able to successfully kill that player. Working on these guards.
I got two broken arms.
2 broken arms and a lot of other damage. He's going to have to pull back and heal, get some cover, get some concealment. His teammate also pinned down. Taking shots through the doorway. His teammate linked back up and healing. Able to cover each other. Alternate who's healing. This is absolutely essential. When you're under fire here, getting a covered and concealed position, a safe position, and then alternating who's healing at what time so that you can have one teammate covering your position, providing that perimeter, and another teammate healing using those surgical kits. When you're using a surgical kit, you cannot run, you cannot shoot, you can't move. You can't even crouch, go from standing to crouch, or go from crouch to standing. So that is a very vulnerable position. You have to have that level of coordination to get these heals in successfully and extract as a team. We're going to see them deal with this gunfight.
Gonna take the free saves.
Now down to 16 minutes left in the competition.
Because we got 13 minutes. Now, how lucky are we that they were here?
He's tracking that he's got a little bit less time than he actually has, which is probably a good thing. He's really going to work to get off of this map in time. He's got 15 minutes left in order to get to the extraction point that if they're able to get dog tags here, if they have 3 dog tags, they are very close to an eligible extraction point. They're able to get just enough loot. If they're able to get 500,000 or more, it looks like they will be able to take the lead. With the updated score, we have Team Zerme at 3.19 million, Team IMO at 2.74 million. They're going to need 460,000, right in that range in loot value for Team IMO to pull into second place.
Wow, these guys haven't really got many bags, mate. I don't know.
Checking back in here with Sade, working through his loot, making his way towards his extraction. Our current leader on the board with just under 7 million. Consistency all day from Sade. We're going to stick with IMO here. This is the game that is likely to determine who wins second place, who wins third place in this event.
I'm suggesting it. Come up to this room, loot the safe. Since you're doing that, I'm gonna loot these safes, check these safes, what's in them.
Yeah, I'm just getting the rest of
This is live, and as we move through all of these teams, I see in their in-game chat, everyone in their chat is updating all these teams constantly. Who's winning, where they stand. Sade knows he's in first place. Their chat's doing the work for him to update these players, so you can assume they're pretty well informed here, and that IMO knows he knows he needs to get off this map in about 10 to 12 minutes. And he knows he's going to need several 100,000, in this case, over 500,000, potentially, about 460,000, in order to compete for that second place spot.
7K, nice. Did you say you need a backpack, yeah? There's a large campion one here, and storage.
Even storage? Okay.
In the final minutes of this competition, we sit here with Team IMO. This is a loot race. Maximum amount of loot pulled off of the maps in Arena Breakout. You could play any map, any mode that you would like, leaving open strategy for these players, for them to pick their preferred method of maximizing their loot. They had 2.5 hours in order to get in as many games as possible, and we are here in the last 13 minutes of that window. Team IMO close to a potential extraction point if they have the dog tags to activate it. Checking these last few safes, I do not see a bunch of dog tags here, but a great loot value gold ore sample and a phone with that typewriter. Team IMO potentially pushing up his loot value into the range that he needs in order to be successful here. Oh, they need to deliver the Valley Boss token. If they took down the Valley Boss, if they took down the boss in this gunfight on Villa, they potentially have that token. Cannot confirm whether he has that token in his inventory yet, so we do not know if IMO is going to be able to take that helipad extraction. If he is, this is an easy extraction, and we'll have to see his loot value. If he is not able to take that extraction, he has 12 minutes to race to an extraction point on this map that is much farther away. Picking up high-value loot item after high-value loot item. We've seen him check pockets, check safes, maximizing his value coming off of this map. You see lots of extra ammo there he's taken off this map.
Yeah, reloading my mags now, because...
Pull back to the helo.
Looks like his teammate may have the boss token. There's the potential that they do have the ability to activate this extraction point.
Take a minute, but you gotta be here within 20 seconds.
Yeah.
As we wait to see, it looks like, yep, they're going to be able to get this extraction in. It's all going to come down to whether or not IMO can get close to that 500,000 loot value to see if he's able to slide into second place in the last 10 minutes of this event. They have 48 seconds, 47, that they're going to have to defend their position. This is exposed, but they do have a little bit of cover from the helicopter. And unlike Armory, taking this extraction point does not let the entire map know where you are and that you're extracting. We are going to see a successful extraction here from IMO most likely, and all we will be waiting for is that loot value to see if he gets that 460,000. It's an unofficial number, but that's the math we're doing in our head over here. We're going to see if he gets that 460K he needs in order to get into second place. Sade, at this point, confirmed our winner for the Trovo Creator Showdown, our unofficial winner. I'm not the final call, but I'm looking at these numbers, and it doesn't look like anybody can come close. The battle is for second place.
We can play this like once a month if you want to.
Does Team IMO have the value?
I play this game every day.
Well, let's see the loot value.
169K for him. It all depends on what his teammate's loot value is.
750k-ish.
We will need to see his teammates' loot value.
I'm gonna screenshot that and do it as soon as I can. Before the timer resets.
Yeah, I would have carried on looting, but
As they submit this final loot value, I will be sure to update you on the scores. Checking in with Sade here as he's looting more bodies on Armory. Can anyone stop Team Sade in a loot race? Sade and Trashy, the absolute team to beat. As you see Arena Breakout comp approach, we've got a team
He's gonna get raided. What?
that has distinguished themselves today in the Trovo Creator Showdown and Arena Breakout, a new format. We'll continue to try and bring some exciting games here and potentially showcase in our future iterations more of these teams playing. We focused on the teams that have started to pull ahead, so you get a chance to see some of the best gameplay in Arena Breakout, some of these great tactics. We have some of the players that are finishing up their last game. Little B here, finally able to check in with Little B. We do not have scores from Little B and Monarch. I'm interested to see. We may see some wild upsets at the end here with some of these teams because we do have some delayed scoring, and we finally get a chance with the connection problems we've had with Team Little B so far to check in. Little B and Monarch
Good one though.
moving towards their extraction on Armory. We do not have a lot of information on their team and haven't gotten a chance to see them in the action, but we're going to check and see what their loot value looks like here in just a second.
We got folded once, I think.
And I will be updating you on the final loot values.
Which is pretty good. We did pretty good. I think we did pretty good. I don't know how much loot do you think? We got 2 mil? Around 2 mil?
Little B giving us a little update.
No, it's overall 2 mil.
We definitely got over 2 mil.
Yeah.
All right, it looks like Little B and Monarch having a conversation about how they may have some competitive scores here. So once we get a final score update, we will let you know. Updated with Space.
Yeah, probably 3
Space's score so far right now at 317,000 total. That's going to make him competitive for that fifth or sixth place potential spot. A large gap in between our top and bottom players here. Checking back in with Sade, he's able to successfully extract with massive loot value. IMO finishing up his here, and then Team Zermay trying to get in a final extraction. He has 6 minutes left. It is not looking very likely, but he may have an opportunity to get in this final extraction and potentially extend his lead, really pushing his time here with only 7 minutes left in the competition. Little B finishing up his final iteration here. We're going to check on his loot value. 20 seconds left in this extraction.
You know how it'd be rush hour.
Yeah.
People getting off, people going to work.
No, I just said I called him. I was like, yo, I'm at
7 seconds left.
but I'm an hour away now.
We will see this final loot value for Little B. It looks like we may have a final score update coming from them here in the next couple of minutes, and we'll be able to include Little B and Monarch in the overall score and see how competitive they are. 429,000 in loot value for Little B. You can expect a similar high value amount from Monarch here. And so once we get the final update, we may have Little B and Monarch with a late submission update some final amounts and be competitive overall in the final score here.
I think we're up there, though. We're for sure up there. We're for sure up there. Let me look. Oh, you can look at screenshots. You can look at the screenshots. Oh, no. That different, damn.
Checking over with Sade. Finishing up, he's got his final match in. Zermay still on the map as we watch him try and make his way to his final extraction here.
Пацаны, просто контролить дроп. Ну ладно, окей.
Looks like he was watching his kill cam Zerme going down in his final game, unable to add a further amount to that score. Getting our final updates here from Team IMO. We're going to be able to see who is in that battle, the winner for that battle for second place. Our final score from Sade, likely well over 7, potentially 8 million. Without his game 6, he was able to win this competition. By game 6, Team Sade at 6.95 million in extracted value.
Так, я хочу посмотреть Discord, что у нас там происходит.
As we finish up with these last games, we'll see these creators come into their lobby, finish up the final game, submit their final screenshots. We see IMO now off. Sade finished with his final game. Little B finished with his final game, imparting some wisdom on the chat. All of the rest of these players now offline. Lil Peru looking like he's getting his final extraction in. Under the gun, under the wire, able to get a couple 1.3k, tiny little amount to add to that total. But if his teammates got some loot value and they were able to extract in the final couple of minutes, he's able to add to that total for today. Up to this point, Lil Peru was at 137,000, vying for a position in the top 6. But as we see all of these scores get updated, I doubt that 137k will be enough to finish in the top 6. We have an updated score from Sade, 9.5 million on the day, setting an absolute standard. Updated score from Owen. Team IMO pulling into second place with their final loot value at 747,000. That gives us a second place position for Team IMO, 3.49 million coin in the 2.5 hours. A third place for Team Zerme, 3.19 million coin. And then we will determine the final positions. We may have Team Little B with his teammate Monarch slide into that top 3 once we get a final confirmation on the scores from their team as well. We see a tiny little amount there, 1.3k on a covert ops mission from Lil Peru. Still eligible. Every point counts. Sade's score updated again now to be over 10 million. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think anyone is coming close, setting an absolute standard. Sade we may need to have Sade and Trashy split up and take on this competition solo in the future with a performance like that, setting the standard. All right, we'll bring back to our home screen here. I am Mod6. I've been your caster for today. We are working through the final scores, getting the final updates, and I'll attempt to bring you a final standing here for the Arena Breakout, the Trovo Creator Showdown for this month. It's our first Trovo Creator Showdown where we have seen Arena Breakout as our game, launched on July 14th globally. If you don't have this game, download on Android, download on iOS, and absolutely follow these creators. The creators we featured today, especially our top 3, our top 5, our top 6, are some of the people that have the most experience in this game and are running channels that will absolutely help you get better at this game. Arena Breakout is an extraction shooter where you risk all of your gear when you go into those TAC Ops missions. And so learning the details, learning the medical system, the first aid system, all the guns and ammo will absolutely benefit you. And these are the creators that are doing it at the highest level. As we get our final score updates, to run you down the score here, we have Sade obviously in first place. We've hit that several times at over 10 million. We then have Team IMO at 3.49 million. That's 3,496,000 coin and change. Team Zerme with 3,197,000 and change in third place currently. Then going from there, we've got 317,000 for Space in fourth place. El Peco with 284,000. ChestGamers with 204,000. And Lil Peru with 138,000. We're waiting for some final score updates. Expect to follow on the Amplified Twitter, on the Trovo Twitter. Expect those final scores to be posted there as well. We're going to wait a couple more minutes here for the final scores, and then we will have the end of our Trovo Creator Showdown here. But thanks for joining us so far. And we are checking in for any final score updates right now. We do have an update on Little B. It looks like Little B is going to be the potential competitor as his score gets updated here. We have Little B at over 1.3 million. Adding up all of his score, we are going to see Little B potentially compete for 3rd or 2nd place. So at the end of this score update, we will have our final standings that you'll see on the cast today, and then I will direct you to the Amplified and the Trovo Twitter accounts so you can see those final standings. We will have some follow-ups on the results of this event and some future Arena Breakout events here on Trovo. It'll be updated scores. We have 3 games in for him, 2.4 million. So we will see Little B, as the scores get updated here, potentially slide in to 2nd or 3rd place. Waiting on a couple of final entries here, a couple of final screenshots. Again, the format for today, 2.5-hour loot race in Arena Breakout. This is an extraction shooter where if you fail to extract from the map, you do not get any of that loot value. All of the players today had 2.5 hours to get as many games in as possible. They brought their own teammates, so they played as duos, and their team loot value, everything that they could extract with, they could pick any map, any game mode to maximize that loot value in 2.5 hours. And so those are the results that we see right now. Those are the results that we're seeing get updated. And today we had Sade set an absolute standard with 10.8 million in total extracted value in that 2.5-hour period. In 2nd place right now, as we get the final updates, we have Team IMO with 3.4 million, Team Zerme with 3.1 million, and Little B's updated score right now is 2.99 million. He is less than 200,000 away from Team Zerme. So if we have any final score updates, we should be seeing a final update, which will bring Little B either into 3rd or 2nd place for this competition. Should have our final updates here in the next minute or two before we sign off for this stream. We will leave you with our top 6 players. All right, as we get our final updates here, the race for 3rd place is absolutely tight. We have Sade obviously out in the lead with 10 million. IMO 3.4, Zerme 3.19, and Little B with 3.12 right now. So that race for 3rd is down to less than 100,000 in loot value. We should see a notification that we have the final loot amount. All right. In lieu of any more information, we're going to have the final standings so far for what we have. We have 10.8 million for Sade, 3.4 million for IMO, 3.19 million for Zerme, 3.12 million for Little B, 1.5 million for ChessGamers in 5th place, the final updated score there, and then 317,000 for Space in 6th place. From there, rounding out our top 8, we have 284,000 for El Peco and 138,000 for Lil Peru. That will do it for today for the Trovo Creator Showdown. This is our first Arena Breakout Showdown. Let us know what you think. We hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for joining us. This is Mod 6 out.